In the heart of an ancient, forgotten town stood a grand theater, its once glorious facade now crumbling under the weight of time. The townsfolk avoided it, their faces pale with dread whenever they dared to glance at the structure. They called it the Whispering Audience, and those who knew the story never spoke of it in daylight. It was said that the theater had been built in the early 1900s by a reclusive millionaire who had a passion for the performing arts. He spared no expense, importing velvet curtains from Paris and crystal chandeliers from Venice. The opening night was a grand affair, with the who's who of society in attendance. But the celebration was short-lived. The following morning, the millionaire was found dead in his box, a look of sheer terror etched on his face. The theater was closed immediately, and whispers of the supernatural began to spread. Years passed, and the theater fell into disrepair. The townsfolk claimed to hear faint whispers emanating from within its walls, especially on moonless nights. Some said it was the ghost of the millionaire, unable to find peace. Others believed it was the spirits of the audience from that fateful opening night, trapped forever in the velvet seats. One autumn evening, a group of curious teenagers, driven by the thrill of the unknown, decided to explore the theater. Armed with flashlights and a sense of bravado, they pushed open the creaking doors and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and the scent of decay hung heavily in the air. As they ventured deeper, the whispers began. Soft at first, like the rustling of leaves, they grew louder and more distinct. The teenagers exchanged nervous glances, their laughter dying on their lips. They found themselves in the grand auditorium, where the velvet seats were now tattered and the chandeliers hung precariously from the ceiling. The whispers surrounded them, a cacophony of voices speaking in languages they couldn't understand. It was as if the very air was alive with the presence of unseen entities. One of the teenagers, a girl named Emily, felt a cold hand brush against her cheek. She spun around, but there was no one there. The whispers grew louder, and the air seemed to chill further. Suddenly, the lights flickered on, casting an eerie glow over the theater. The teenagers froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. On the stage, a figure appeared, a man in an old-fashioned suit, his face pale and lifeless. He moved with a grace that was both captivating and terrifying, as if he were a puppet controlled by an unseen master. The whispers intensified, now forming words that sent shivers down their spines. "Leave while you still can," the figure seemed to say, his voice a hollow echo that reverberated through the theater. The teenagers didn't need to be told twice. They fled, stumbling over each other in their haste to escape. As they burst through the doors, the whispers followed them, a chilling reminder that they were never truly alone. Years later, the theater still stands, a silent sentinel in the heart of the town. The townsfolk continue to avoid it, their stories of the whispering audience growing more elaborate with each retelling. Some say that if you listen closely on a moonless night, you can still hear the whispers, the voices of the past trapped in an eternal performance. And those who dare to enter never return, becoming part of the audience that can never leave.